Welcome to Goldfish on Games, where today we're going unscripted, because I want to talk about this lot, a part of my handheld collection. And what makes these so special? Well, they are all modded. Now, modding consoles and handhelds, obviously, is something that I quite enjoy, but I'm definitely not good enough to make videos on them. There are other people who are much better, and you should check them out. I'll leave a few links. So instead, I just want to talk about what I've done here, because I love messing around with these, and they're so much fun. And I think we should probably go in the order that I've done them. So we start off with my Game Boy Color Light. So this is my Game Boy Color. And yeah, the main and only mod that this one has gotten is the screen mod. Well, that and it got a new lens. They're always great to replace because they're the things that tend to get scratched up. And this one even has light written on it as well, so you know it's a backlit screen. Because originally, this was very difficult to see in any other light. If I tap here, you can see that would be what it would have been like with its original screen. But I tap it again, and yeah, it is night and day. Yeah, there's a little sort of sensor you place under the COM port. I think it stops that from working, but I don't really use that, so it's a nice place to indicate where to tap. Though, to be honest, most of the time, I leave it on full brightness. And yeah, that's really it. You can do a few other mods for the Game Boy Color, but this being the first one I did, this is really all I wanted, because I wanted to be able to play my Game Boy games in any situation, and I did, and I played a lot of them on this machine, because it's really quite cool. And this is sort of indicative of what I like to do with these machines, just give myself a better way to play them. The next machine I modded was this, a Game Boy Advanced. So you might be asking yourself, why a classic Game Boy Advanced? Well, I do have an SP. And while it does have a backlit screen, and you can tell it's backlit by when I turn it off, you can pretty much see nothing. I've had this one since launch, and I really didn't want to mod it, as I do like to keep some stock machines around. So instead, I found a beaten up Game Boy Advance and decided to do as many mods to it as I could. This included a brand new case with a custom colour, and it's got a very nice sort of soft touch feel to it, which hopefully won't degrade over time. It's got brand new buttons, and yes, that is a DMG style colour scheme to it. It's got, obviously, a brand new screen, which is lovely and backlit. And it's also got a USB-C rechargeable battery pack, which makes it so much nicer to use. The screen currently, I have it set to a mode where it gives it a sort of dot matrixy sort of look to it, so it's a bit closer to the original. I'll try and get some close-ups so you can see what that looks like. This is an effect that's really difficult to properly pick up on the camera, but I think it does look much better in person. But you can change it by holding down about here, and it's gone to black and white. Black and white with dot matrix look. And that's it with that matrix look off. And you can see it's obviously a lot brighter with it off. Though it looks possibly a bit too good, I go back and forth between the two. There's parts of me that does like the dot matrix look, but it does give off a weird sort of shimmering at times. So yeah, I do sort of skip between them, but it does have different brightness levels as well, so you can just keep tapping there and you can see it goes through them. And the other thing I've done on this is also given it an upgraded amplifier. One of the other things I did try doing with this, but failed, and almost failed badly, was to put a de-hum and de-hiss kit in it as well, so there was less of the sort of hissiness in the background. That didn't go well, and so that mod got pulled out, and thankfully I didn't break anything. Or at least anything I did break hasn't caused any issues. After that came this, a wonderswan colour. So what have I done to this machine? Well, not a huge amount. It's mostly been a brand new screen. That is so lovely to look at. And it's also got a new lens as well, as these kits tend to come with a new lens to replace the old one. But what's quite nice about this screen is that it includes the icons that show up down the side, as that wasn't something that all of these screens would do. And so that's mostly it. And this one sort of breaks my rule earlier that I like to try and keep a stock machine. And the only reason I decided to mod this one is the fact that you didn't have to do any changes to the case. Some of the others you have to cut bits out, you have to trim stuff, and it gets a little destructive. But if I can do a mod without making any real changes to the machine itself, then yeah, great, go for it. Because all this required was just basically attaching a wire to the power lead. And that's it. A little bit of solder so I can easily put this back if required. And I definitely like doing that when I get given a bit of kit. So this was given to me by a friend. And I really don't like doing any damaging modifications to something that someone has given me. So this was the perfect upgrade. And now I just need to find more games that I can play on it and actually understand, because unsurprisingly a good chunk of them are in Japanese. And I've got a few games and they're definitely interesting. I just don't know what I'm doing. But this is definitely something that I will continue to mess around with and learn more about, because they are quite a lot of fun. This is my Game Gear, not a Master System as the case might indicate, and this one was the next one that I worked on. So what mods have I done? Well, it could be quicker to describe which ones I haven't done, as this case, well, that is quite obviously unique. It's a Master System branded one, and as soon as I spotted that, I was like, yes, I have to have it. The buttons, yep, they are all new, well, apart from the start button and the power switch. They I took from an original machine because I preferred those colour schemes, but it's also got a USB-C port here. That is because, if we go around the back, there are rechargeable batteries inside, and you can see where I got them from. And if these covers go back on, then we can continue around the top, and this has a brand new audio port as well, as that circuit board is easier to replace. I've also completely recapped the main board itself, which actually didn't go too badly. Installing the screen, which as you can see is quite lovely, was a mission. You can see how badly I ended up messing that up. But it does work. So I am very, very happy with that. The screen itself, they're not perfect. They don't do a direct, exact integer scaling of the screen, which means you do get some weird patterns every so often. And if we'll see it here, and no, we'll die instead. You can see on some of the bits, it doesn't look 100% perfect. But I can live with that. It does have scan lines, but I'm not a big fan of them. Because of the weird scaling, they tend to cut things off in weird ways, and it just doesn't look quite right. I think if it was doing exact integer scaling, I think it would have looked a lot better. As you can see, there is actually quite a few modes you can switch between. Some of them will scale it off the screen, some will make it much smaller, so you can mess around with that. But what is important is that it supports both Master System and Game Gear resolutions. So you can load up games via, say, one of these, or you can put in a regular cart. But I tend to use a flash cart with my games on them, because it's much easier to, particularly on this, to switch between your Master System and Game Gear games, and who wants to shove that in the back of it and keep that around? It's a bit awkward. So flash carts tend to be a good way of getting around some of those issues, and I've got a few of them, I will admit. Got one for the Game Boy and Game Boy in Color, and I've also got one for the GBA, which is quite interesting as this also has support for save states, which can be quite handy if you need to quickly put the console down because you've got to go do something else. I don't use them for cheating, and with those batteries in place, it has a lovely heft to it. It feels really nice to hold, and everything is just really nice and smooth. Yeah, it'd be great if the screen was just a little bit better. But I believe there's newer ones that are coming out soon that should fix some of those issues. Now, one thing I've been planning on doing, but not got around to quite yet, is to fit a VGA port to the bottom. I've not quite come up with the exact way I want to do it, so that's why I keep putting it off, though I've mapped out roughly the area I want it to go, as I think it'd be really cool to be able to capture games from this. And finally, we have a classic DMG Game Boy. And yes, the oldest handheld in my collection is also the one that I've been working on recently. And what have I done? Well, obviously, a brand new screen, as well as a new lens. It's also gotten one other upgrade, which is a rechargeable battery and a USB-C charge port. So it does mean that this case back is brand new, so it's got the cutout there. But the rest of this is stock, including the buttons. You can see some wear on them. And I do really like holding an original Game Boy. There's just something about it just feels perfect. As does having the screen set like this. I much prefer the old pea green look to the black and white one that you got in the later Game Boys. There's just something about this styling that just... It just rings true to me. Mostly because I've been playing these since they came out, more or less. But this does have an on-screen display where you can change some of the settings, including the brightness, You can move it around slightly so you can try and position it correctly with whatever lens you get. But you can also put lines on and off. So I've got the lines on, which gives each pixel a bit more definition. But if you turn it off, obviously, yeah, that becomes a lot brighter. But I think even on the camera, you can sort of see like the face becomes a bit more defined with it on. And again, this makes it look a bit more stock. It's obviously not stock because, hell, I can see the screen. It's not completely pitch black as it would have been back in the day. But there's something about trying to keep these as close as they could be. Because, yeah, I've been playing Wario Land on this machine, and I've been enjoying it so much. The original look, the feel, it's just been right. Now, I could have played it on the colour, and I have played a lot of original Game Boy games on the colour, but I've never been a huge fan on the palettes that it applies. I think it wrecks some games because it highlights some platforms that are meant to be hidden within the rest of the level because they're meant to be tiles. So, yeah, this has made me go back and re-enjoy the original collection, as I can see it in any light. As if we bring on, like, this is another Game Boy, and you can actually see the screen not too bad here because I've got a lot of lighting going on. But if we start to turn some of those off, yeah, that clearly visible, that almost impossible. And back in the day, we would have used these, a mag light. I don't know. Oh, you can just about start to make it out again now. I played so many games with this very mag light in this sort of situation. So, this huge improvement. And the reason for doing all of these is just to play and enjoy these machines and these games in how they originally were. With just a few upgrades to make it a bit nicer. So this is my modded handheld collection, and you might not be surprised to learn that I have been playing all of these quite a bit recently. At the moment, the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance have been getting the lion's share of my time, because, well, I had to replay Wario Land on this, and I've been starting off playing a bit of Zelda Link to the Past on this one. I played it and completed it on the SNES, but I thought, hey, it's time to check it out on the GBA, and this is a perfect way to do it. The colour, yeah, it's not gotten as much of a look in recently, but that's fine. I'll come back to it when I want to put more time into the colours library, because there's a lot of games there I've not really looked at. The Game Gear and Master System, this is such a perfect way to play both of those, and so yeah, I'll be continuing to mess around with that library. And the wonderswan colour, obviously I'm going to put so much time into learning about this system, trying to get some of the games for it as well. I've got 3 at the moment, and I definitely want to get more. Though that might require learning a bit more Japanese than I currently do. And yeah, I love messing around on original hardware, and these mods make it so much easier to do that. I'm so happy with how they all turned out. So, if there's any mods here that you like the look of, or is there any mods that you think I should do, let me know down in the comments. And until next time, I've been the Goldfish. This was a lot of mods, and that was Goldfish on Games. Thank you for watching this video about me and my modded handheld collection. I hope it didn't come across as too self-indulgent. And if it didn't and you enjoyed what you saw, then you could try clicking those buttons just below. You know the ones I mean. Yeah, you do. Or you can check out 2 other videos that I've done. There'll be links on the screen right now that you can check out.